Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We can call the meeting to order. First order of business, any changes, additions, or removal to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Approve the minutes from the previous meeting. I think we approved the April 1st ones last time, but
Yes, you did.
the May 6th one we need to do.
I move to approve it.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Comments from citizens? There appear to be none in the house tonight. Department head report.
Should have that in front of
I
you.
do. The springs produce 13.9 million gallons and we use 6.6 million. Joe reports the altitude valves are working correctly. The water storage tanks were cleaned at Godfrey's and Strong's, okay?
Yep.
They're working with the paving people out on Main Street here, helping them out. They did some flushing off Deep Long Court and Thompson Avenue. Those are areas we've been having some dirty water issues, and we've flushed our well weekly. So that's what they're up to this month, among other things.
Do you want this attached? 'Cause
Yeah,
I've been
we'll just
doing-
keep doing that,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
I just like to read it. Aged receivable report.
So we are, this month, water, for any of our folks that are not on any form of payment plan or meet that threshold, their disconnection notices are going out. As we know, that kind of pushes that forward very quickly. So those will be being sent out middle of the month, with the date probably by the end of the month to take action on the accounts if needed.
What percentage would you say is on a payment plan?
Of the major ones,
Yeah,
a majority of them.
okay, good.
There are a few that are, we're gonna have, unfortunately, we'll have a serious conversation with,
Yeah.
but that's just the nature of the beast with that.
Okay.
It appears our total money out is $26,616, but over 120 days is 11,253, so
Yeah.
that's the same
Yeah.
people. Okay. Yeah, whatever we do to get
Yeah.
make us whole.
And we do a fairly good job of.
Yep.
Just gotta stay on top. And we've been doing the, for the folks on the plans, like I told you before, we do kind of doing a personal reminder a little bit, just to say, hey, don't forget about this. Yeah.
Phone call goes a long way.
Yeah.
Water allocation request, 22 Andover Street again. Okay, would
So
like
this
to
is-
add a
This is
bedroom.
the actual request, so the payment was taken care of for the back utility balance.
Mhm.
So this is just to add a allocation from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom.
All right, and I see Joe signed
Yes.
off on it, so I would entertain a motion
Yeah, I move to approve that
for 22 Andover
for
Street.
22 Andover Street.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Manager update.
I have a few things. So the, kind of as a follow-up to our site visits, Joe did get a quote from Prescott regarding updating the SCADA and adding more SCADA system to the water system. That comes in at about $7,700 to bring us up to where we are. It seems like something we should do.
Okay.
Excuse
and
me, is that skater?
SCADA, SCADA.
At the springs,
Yeah.
so we can monitor the springs.
Yeah. So that is something financially we can
We can
have
do it.
that, and I think that's a
Do you want a motion from us at this
no.
time?
We're just we can move on it. I
Okay.
don't think that's necessary.
Okay,
So we will go ahead and do that. Come to some of the follow-ups from that as well, just making sure, keeping all the gates locked, et cetera, and we're also looking at some of the fencing in that back valve at the Springs building, some of the things that are immediately controllable are things that we should be doing.
absolutely.
Had a few, as you probably have seen, have had a few minor water leaks that, may or may not be associated. Some of them aren't, some of them may be associated with some of the paving. Have a couple valve boxes, one at the corner of Mill Street that we are changing out that's been leaking. We're also going to do the one that is right in front of the library.
We're changing the valves also.
Yes.
Not just the
Yeah,
valve.
Not just the
Okay,
valves,
all right.
excuse me, so the valves. We did just yesterday replace, they had this leak in front of the Potbelly Pub that ended up just being a plastic a gasket, but they went in and changed the corporation and everything in there as well, so.
Okay.
Going to look into just for, because we continue to have some dirty water issues in the area of, Prospect, as well as Thompson and Orion down towards the end, and we're really,
Has anybody else on Prospect said anything except for myself?
no.
See, I've been all right lately.
Yeah. So we've been looking, and I've been in touch with, I've called, talked with Roy Farr from Springfield's water department.
Mhm.
Just kind of, picking the brains, while we're watching our daughter's softball until we talk water. And one thing I think I had talked about that I'm curious, and Joe will be back tomorrow, we're gonna talk about ice pigging, which is a process to essentially clean and, because we know that one of our issues in that area might be that the pipes have an incredible amount of sediment in them.
Yeah, on scale.
Yeah, which is natural. Obviously, replacing all those pipes is not really an option. So ice pigging is a process that is done where it's basically a truck that'll tie into a hydrant and force a ice slurry down the lines. I have a call into Middlebury's water department because they have done it.
Mhm.
I'm just curious, I'm trying to check all of our boxes here to figure
Yeah.
out exactly what we're doing. Generally speaking, it's $5 to $6 a linear foot to have it done, which,
Sounds expensive. Yeah.
it can get, if you're talking a couple 100 feet, I guess you weigh what that cost is and how effective it is too. But you're also talking about, and I'm not even sure if it's feasible, because you'd have to, realistically, after you do it, you're gonna probably have to run temporary water, because you have to retest, once you do the pigging, you have to test the water that is back through the lines before it can be potable for folks. And again, this is kind of something that we're investigating, because we've been scratching our heads in a little while about this dirty water there.
Have the operators tried different flow characteristics?
We have in the last
Did it make any
2 to
difference?
3 weeks, they have been. It hasn't made a substantial difference.
Okay.
But I think we still are gonna try to see,
Yeah.
as you continue to do, like you said, try and flushing it one way. After a month and a half, what the outcome is on that.
We discussed a blow-off, adding another blow-off on the very end. Is that still?
That is gonna happen,
Okay.
yeah, so.
That's just a scheduling thing? or-
Yeah, just waiting for, I think 2 of the times we tried to schedule, but we ended up having a water leak, so.
Okay.
Is there another option to ice pegging, or is it that kind of?
That's just something that that's one of the options. I haven't really jumped down the rabbit hole of other things.
Yeah.
And I like to talk with Roy, and he says he's never done. I guess back in the day they used to do this pigging, which was pulling something
Yeah, it's-
through the lines, and he said, and you'd run into.
you get stuck.
You get stuck, you would break a line, and so this
Okay.
is a little less invasive, but I don't know all the correct, if all of a sudden it's $50,000 to do it for one road, is not worth it. If you're talking about, if it's effective and it's $6,000 and it's gonna work, maybe it's something to think about, but I don't know. I'll have more information as we get there.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So, that's about it.
Okay. Other business, you kind of stole all my thunder, but
Sorry.
that's okay. The Plumley Avenue stream crossing, where, is that going to be this year yet?
That is going to be this year. We were given a quote from Hoyle Tanner to have that done at $235,000. The initial discussions between, some of those in the know a little bit, and also our FEMA, not FEMA, but our state consultants, is that number's low. So we are pushing it back to FEMA to have it basically A&E'd again, to make sure, because what we don't want to have happen is we accept the $235,000 and we say, this is what it is. FEMA goes, yep, here's your check. And it comes in and it's $310,000, and now we're holding the bag for the $80,000. We just want to make sure
Okay.
that we're getting it all
Yep.
paid for. But permitting and everything has been done. We've talked about that. That probably won't be a boring. It will probably be more of a trench job across the river. Dan
Boulders.
part of it, Dan the other part, because there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah,
too.
okay. All right, it's still on the radar, good. Set date for next meeting would be July 1st. Possible agenda items, there's always something.
Something.
We signed the warrant orders. I'd like to do an executive session for personnel, managers review. Can I get a motion?
Sure. I'll move to have the executive session for manager's review.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.